Hello students, in this topic we understand the law governing the validity of marriages. In any system of law, the validity of marriage is subject to the fulfillment of two conditions. They are: 1. The parties to the marriage must have the capacity to marry, that is, the essential validity of marriage. 2. The parties must have performed necessary ceremonies and rites of marriage, that is, the formal validity of marriage. Difficulty is displayed in issues with regard to the validity of marriage. These issues are related to characterization of the problems, issues in marriage that are presented before the court. The main questions before the court is the identification of the governing law to classify the questions of formal and essential validity of marriage. Adding to the difficulty mentioned above is the fact that diversity is the main feature amongst the domestic personal laws of the countries. Instances are galore where the local courts have observed that a certain legal characteristic of the marriage is a matter of formal validity, when according to the personal law of the parties to the marriage, it might have been a matter of essential validity. Courts of different countries have expressed diversity of opinion in the matter of matrimonial relief. Characterization of marriage. One question that has been the subject of much debate in the forums deciding private international law issues is the question of characterization of the marriage. Succinctly put, what is the governing law for characterization of a marriage, either as a polygamous or a monogamous? Four possible answers come up here. A. The personal law of either party. B. The pre-marriage domicile of either party. C. The law of the matrimonial home. D. The lex loci celebrationis. Formal validity. Ogden versus Ogden is an important case on the issues concerning deciding upon the validity of marriage. Parental consent, an important requirement for marriage under the French civil law, was characterized by the French courts as a matter of essential validity, while the English law considered it as a matter of formal validity. The consequence of this dichotomy in judicial opinion in different countries was that while under the French law the lady was seen as divorced, the English law saw her as being married. Graveson opined that while drawing a distinction between matters falling under the formal validity and those coming under the essential validity, the functional test to be adopted is the reason or purpose guiding the legal system for the imposition of any specific requirement for the matrimonial union. Matters regarded as essential to the maintenance of an acceptable standard in the matrimonial or family relation in any given society will be regarded as the essentials of the marriage. Such matters will be governed by the personal law of each party, while matters of less important social interest like the procedure of the marriage, notice of the marriage, witness presence at the marriage are treated as simple formalities, often addressed by the law of the place of the performance of the marriage. The next question is the identification of governing law for addressing the classification of the matters under either essential validity or formal validity. Graveson suggested that the governing law be identified as the law of each party's domicile. Cheshire opined that the governing law could be determined by the matrimonial home of the parties. English law holds a confirmed view that all marriages solemnized in England, the characterization will be founded upon the English law, irrespective of the fact that the parties were domiciled in England or elsewhere. Where the marriage has been solemnized abroad, but one of the parties is domiciled in England, then also English law characterization rules would apply. However, if both the parties are domiciled abroad and the marriage having been solemnized abroad, the characterization rules will be found in the law of the country where the marriage has been solemnized. The following case is an illustration on this point. In the case of Abt versus Abt, both parties were German nationals of Jewish origin. They were acquainted with each other when they were both living in Germany, but there was at that time no suggestion of marriage. In 1936, the husband emigrated to the Argentine as a refugee from the Nazi regime. In July 1937, the wife and the other members of her family came to England for the same reason. As regards the wife, it was admitted by the King's Proctor that she was at all material times domiciled in this country. In 1940, the husband wrote to the wife proposing marriage. At that time, it was impossible for her to travel to the Argentina owing to wartime restrictions. The marriage was performed through proxy on the basis of the power of attorney executed by her, a practice valid under the Argentine law. She later petitioned before the court for declaration of the marriage as nullity on the ground that the ceremony of marriage having been performed in proxy in Argentina was invalid as being against public policy. The court held that the celebration of the marriage by proxy is a matter of the form of the ceremony or proceedings and is not an essential of the marriage. It is a question to be determined by lex loci celebrationis, and there is no doctrine of public policy which invalidates in England a proxy marriage celebrated in a foreign country between a person domiciled in England and a person domiciled in that country, provided that the form of the ceremony or proceeding is valid in that country and is performed strictly in accordance with the laws of that country and contains nothing abhorrent to Christian ideas. Hence, her petition for declaration of nullity of the marriage was dismissed. It is thus apparent that formal validity of the marriage is determined by the lex loci celebrationis. Essential validity. Both antenuptial domicile and the matrimonial domicile have been considered for questions of essential validity. Capacity to marry is governed by the antenuptial domicile of each party. In Brooke versus Brooke, the House of Lords dealt with the question of essential validity and held that the marriage of a man to his deceased wife's sister in Denmark was invalid because such a marriage was within the prohibited degrees of affinity under the English law, the law of the parties' antenuptial domiciles, though not under Danish law. The House of Lords distinguished the formalities of marriage governed by the place of celebration from the capacity to marry, which is regulated by the lex domicile, the parties' antenuptial domicile, and held the marriage to be void based on the duty of the parties to obey English laws and the applicable 1835 Marriage Act. Consent of the parties. Consent of the parties is characterized as an essential validity feature and is governed by the law of the antenuptial domicile of the parties. H versus H is an important case. A Hungarian domiciled girl in communist ruled Hungary underwent a ceremony of marriage with her France domiciled cousin, apparently for reasons founded on leaving the hardships in Hungary. The parties to the marriage never lived together and the husband left for France. Eventually, the girl, a major by then, obtained a French passport and then moved to England and acquired domicile. She then filed a petition before the English court for a declaration of nullity of the marriage. The court's jurisdiction was found existing because the petitioner was domiciled in England and the choice of law was the English law. In the present case, the petitioner relied upon section 18(1)(b) of the English Matrimonial Causes Act 1950 in respect of jurisdiction. This section provides that an English court shall have jurisdiction to entertain proceedings by a wife in the case of proceedings for divorce or nullity if the wife is resident in England and has been ordinarily resident there for a period of 3 years immediately preceding the commencement of the proceedings and the husband is not domiciled in any other part of the United Kingdom or in the Channel Islands or the Isle of Man. On the question of the applicable law to the issue of validity of marriage, the court held that the marriage is void for want of consent. The court held that she lacked the capacity to consent to the marriage in her prenuptial domicile. In the recent decision of a local authority versus X and another within the care proceedings, the local authority, with the support of X through her guardian, sought a declaration of non-recognition of the marriage in Pakistan. The court found that X was domiciled in England at the time of the marriage and the validity of the marriage was therefore governed by the Marriage Act 1949. Pursuant to that act, which stipulates that a marriage between persons either of whom is under 16 shall be void, the marriage was found to be void. Until recently, English law would not recognize any actually or potentially polygamous marriage, even if neither party had any intention of taking further spouses, where either party was domiciled in the United Kingdom. This stance has been modified, however, by section 5 of the Private International Law Miscellaneous Provisions Act 1995, which provides that a marriage contracted abroad between parties neither of whom is already married is not void in English law merely because the law of that country permits polygamy. However, English law still regards as void any actually polygamous marriage involving a person domiciled in this country and polygamous marriage contracted by those domiciled abroad are not recognized for all purposes. The above rule that the capacity to marry is governed by the pre-marriage domicile has some exceptions read into it. These exceptions were the result of the academic scholarship of Dicey and Morris. Either party to the marriage being a descendant of King George II marries in contravention of the Royal Marriage Act 1772. This exception still holds well in England. 2. A marriage is possibly not valid if either party is, according to the lex loci celebrationis, under incapacity to marry the other. 3. Where one party to a marriage is domiciled in England while the other party is not, the validity of their marriage is not affected because of an incapacity that existed in the law of such foreign domicile, as no such incapacity exists under the English law. 4. A marriage celebrated in England is not invalid on account of any incapacity that is penal. Morris further opined that this exception should be extended to all marriages, including those celebrated outside England, keeping in mind the fact that absence of such protection of the institution could lead to socially undesirable results. Through this exception, private international law has ensured that specific penal laws of other countries could not be effective. In Chetty versus Chetty, an English woman domiciled in London married a Hindu domiciled in India, petitioned for judicial separation on the ground of husband's cruelty. On counter, the husband argued that the marriage was void as his personal law did not permit him to marry outside his religion. The court, rejecting the husband's argument, refused to give effect to this disability. The Indian law. The Hindu Marriage Act 1955 provides that any two Hindus can perform their marriage provided the conditions laid down under section 5 of the Act are fulfilled. The Indian courts would accord recognition to such marriage even if one of the parties or both the parties have no capacity to enter into the marriage under their antenuptial domicile or under the law of their matrimonial home. Similar treatment is also accorded to the other religious communities' marriages also. The Special Marriage Act 1954, under which civil marriage can be contracted, also gives birth to a separate personal law rules. This rule applies even if one or both the parties are not domiciled in India. Where a marriage is contracted under the Foreign Marriages Act 1969, all questions regarding the essential material validity shall be decided according to that legislation. This legislation provides two situations where the marriage officer may refuse to solemnize the marriage. They are: 1. If the lex loci celebrationis prohibits such a marriage. 2. If the solemnization of the marriage will be inconsistent with the international law or the Committee of Nations. Formal validity of the marriage. Formal validity of the marriage is one of the few areas of private international law having unanimity in the laws of all the countries in the world. The accepted view is that the formal validity of the marriage is governed by lex loci celebrationis. However, in working out the details of this principle, some differences are discernible. Only a few exceptions are seen to the rule that formal validity is to be established according to the lex loci celebrationis. For example, under the French law, a marriage that is solemnized outside France should be formally valid either under the law of the place where it is celebrated or by the personal law of the parties. Failure of compliance with the local law would render such marriage invalid. The rule's crux is that if a marriage is valid in accordance with the law of the place where it is performed, then the marriage would be valid at every place elsewhere. Exceptions to the predominance of the local law, the locus regictatum. under the common law as well as statutory law are: 1. Common law marriages performed abroad. 2. Marriages celebrated on merchant ships. 3. Marriages of members of His Majesty's forces serving abroad. 4. Consular marriages. In India, two forms of marriages are practiced. The first is according to the personal laws of the individual communities, and the other under the Special Marriage Act 1954. Under the Special Marriage Act, the method of marriage is a civil marriage, though the parties are free to append any other ceremonies of their choice. It is an established principle of Indian private international law that a marriage to be formally valid must comply with the lex loci celebrationis. Issues with regard to polygamous unions. English law considers a marriage to be a voluntary union between a man and a woman. Hence, polygamous marriages are not held valid, even if they were under the lex loci celebrationis. The court in Harvey versus Farney held that the characterization of a marriage as a monogamous or a polygamous relationship is to be determined according to the lex fori. If a personal law of a person does not permit him to practice polygamy, then a polygamous marriage contracted in a place where such practice is legal and valid would still fail the test of recognition in England. The Matrimonial Proceedings Polygamous Marriage Act 1972 laid down that a polygamous marriage entered into outside England and Wales between parties, either of whom is domiciled in England, shall be void. Recognition of polygamous unions, the reasons. What are the reasons for which polygamous unions find recognition in English courts? Various reasons have been accorded in a variety of judicial opinion. One such reason is the rights of the children born of such polygamous or potentially polygamous relationships. In Sinha Peerage Claims case, the children of a potentially polygamous marriage of an Indian domiciled Hindu were recognized as legitimate and were held to inherit the English peerage. Again, in the same case, the court also expressed the opinion towards validating such polygamous unions. Polygamy here meaning that either the law of that place permitted having a plurality of wives, or that there is a situation of plurality of wives. For reason that notwithstanding the fact that a marriage may be potentially polygamous at its inception, it could subsequently become converted or mutated into a monogamous marriage for the purpose of attracting the matrimonial relief available under the English common law. Another example is the case of Ali versus Ali. Two Indian domiciled Muslims involved in a potentially polygamous marriage acquired a domicile of choice in England, and despite continuing to adhere to Islam, their marriage turned into a monogamous one. The reason being that English law did not permit polygamy. The court observed that the potentially polygamous marriage having got converted into a monogamous marriage, courtesy English law being the law of the domicile for the parties, the English court could even dissolve the marriage or provide any other matrimonial relief. Until 8th January 1996, when Part 2 of the Private International Law Miscellaneous Provisions Act 1995 came into force in England, Wales and Scotland, or 14th February 1996, under an order in council in Northern Ireland, a potentially polygamous but de facto monogamous, the marriage celebrated on or after 1st August 1971 was held to be valid in the United Kingdom law only if the man was domiciled in the United Kingdom and the marriage was entered into overseas. Any marriage celebrated on or before 31st July 1971 was regarded as void if, despite having taken place in a country whose law permits polygamy, it was polygamous in form and at the time of marriage, and either party was domiciled in the United Kingdom or in another country whose law did not permit polygamy. The 1995 Act, which has retrospective effect, provides that a potentially polygamous but de facto monogamous marriage is valid in United Kingdom law if either the man or the woman is domiciled here and the marriage was entered into in a country whose law permits polygamy. However, the marriage would not be valid where, in the case of a marriage celebrated before commencement of the new legislation, either party has before commencement remarried or obtained a decree of annulment. Nor would the 1995 Act have any effect where the marriage was considered void under the law either of the country in which it was celebrated or of any other country in which either party was domiciled at that time. The retrospective nature of the legislation may mean that some automatic claims to British nationality which were rejected because they hinged on the validity of a potentially polygamous marriage will need to be reassessed. The position on citizenship applications rejected due to our inability to regard a potentially polygamous marriage as valid is different, since those applications were refused in accordance with the law as it stood at that time, they cannot be reopened. However, fresh applications could be successful than earlier. The Indian law developed largely due to some case law in the area of matrimonial relief in marriages that required conversion of a spouse's religion gives two principles. 1. If both the parties have changed their religion, then the new personal law after conversion would be the governing law. 2. Where only one party has converted to a different religion, no matrimonial relief will be available to such convert spouse under the newly acquired personal law. We have now discussed the law on a few fundamental issues that arise before a foreign court with regard to marriage. We have discussed the concept of formal validity and essential validity with regard to the marriage and the various laws that could possibly govern a decision on such validity.